Hey, welcome back in. Ian Furness with you, Sports Radio 950 KJR, and here we go again. Week 2 of 10. This is which is may end up being what the NFL season is, 10 weeks, which we'll get to in a second.
God, yeah.
Exactly. John Lund joining me here on the Beacon Plumbing Hotline. It's all brought to you by our good friends at Cascade Ice, caffeinated ice water, 16-ounce cans, by the way. We should mention that. 16-ounce cans and caffeinated, which you need a little
That's the key, by the way.
We're sending you some.
Caffeinated water is just so good. Think about that. I don't drink decaf anything. Like if it doesn't have something in it, I have nothing.
You got to go two ways: alcohol or caffeine, one or the other.
Right.
Like something in the middle.
Something. I don't just drink something. Nothing.
Cascade Ice.
Water. I love water.
It's gluten-free. It's sugar-free. It's calorie-free, but it's definitely not caffeine-free. 16-ounce cans, strawberry lemonade, pink grapefruit, the lemonade, mango, orange, all there in your grocery store. Check it out. And like I said, London, we're going to try to send you some down there as well. That's my man Todd's on top of that right now. So we expect to have cans like in the background, like like you're doing like an ESPN.
Yeah, I will. I'll do
Zoom.
That.
Yeah, this is
like
a good
big pyramid.
This is a good background today because if people missed it a couple weeks ago, you had the tackle at the goal line of Jacob Hollister in the background.
I didn't think I'd make it through 10 weeks. I thought people would maybe come down here, so I figured.
Thought about it, but here you are. You're back again. Hey, so if people mention, just John and I go way back, and we just we feel it'd be kind of fun just to kind of talk and BS and have some fun every week. So we're gonna do that every Tuesday in this time in which we don't really have sports, although we have sports, sort of, right? We're kind of coming back. How's spring training going down in the Bay Area for your two teams?
Well, I guess it's Wednesday, but here's the thing: is so as far as the media goes, here's what we were told: they're going to be on the field, and we're still going to be at home doing Zooms. So it doesn't really matter that they're back. I mean, I guess they're back. That was I guess what was so funny about this whole thing was, hey, everything's back. Well, it's back July 23rd for baseball, and it's back July 30th for the NBA. So for us, like you and I, who do content for a living, it's like everyone's jumping up and down. We have a date. Yeah, it's a month away. It's like waiting for Christmas. Like, when's the fat man coming down the chimney? Let's go already.
Well, and who's going to
12 years old?
And who's going to play? Ian Desmond opted out, right? I think some other guys have as well.
Mike Leake.
Okay,
opted out?
I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy for a second. All right, like I'd opt if you had an option, right, to opt out of something that you're kind of like so and lukewarm on. And financially, it didn't cost you anything. Yeah, this show. You get, hey, listen, you get caffeinated water. What do you want?
I'm just kidding. I like caffeinated water.
I don't know. To me, Ian Desmond stuff, two things. One, he's got a pregnant wife and 4 kids. Okay, so I get that. Mm-hmm. I get that side of things. It just feels a lot easier for him to make that decision with $76 million in the bank. That's his career earnings to this point. 76, not $76, not 76 stations, $76 million.
It's $76 like I have in my account right now.
Exactly. I mean, you'd opt out of everything if you could. I can't opt out. Yeah, you can't opt out.
Let me go further with you on that. You said $76 million. I looked this up this morning. Mike Leake, is amazingly enough, an incredibly average pitcher, has made about $100 million in his career.
Oh, my God.
He can opt out. Ryan Zimmerman, who was going to make less than $1 million with the reboot this year, so I get it. And I'm not saying that he's not right and the health concerns and everything like that, but he's made $123 million in his career. So for him to go out and play for less than $1 million when he's got $123 million in the bank, well, maybe not the bank, but he's fine for about 10 generations. Why would you go out and play? If I'm him, I'm not.
No. Well, but that's the thing that kind of is an interesting dynamic, is that, guys were already mad about money, right? So if you're that guy, and if you're that guy that's made $100 million or $76 million or whatever, and you're already mad about the money and you feel like the owners have wronged you, it's a pretty easy thing. Now, again, I'm taking a leap here, but it's pretty easy to say, oh, you know what, COVID concerns, I'm really worried about it, and I'm done. I mean, there's a lot of people right now that probably would rather not work. Guys in the grocery stores, frontline, first line workers. I mean, those kind of people would probably love to opt out if they possibly could, but most people can't afford to opt out. I just have a hard time. I'm not going to applaud anybody or give a tip of the cap and say, you know what, you're doing the right thing here, because it's easy when you already have. We're living in a world of 20% unemployment. It's easy to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, if it's over health concerns, I know that Ryan Zimmerman and his wife just had a baby. I know Ian Desmond released a great statement, so I have no issue. Really, you can do whatever you want, but as you pointed out, like most things in sports, it does all come down to money. And the bottom line to the whole thing, I apologize. That's Papa texting me. I apologize for that. But it does all come down to money. And anything else that is discussed is ridiculous. To be honest with you, and we make our living doing this, so I'm glad that sports is coming back. But if we were objective here, just sitting here and we didn't need sports to make a living, and we do, I would say they shouldn't even play. Because it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for the NBA to play at all, to go down to a bubble in a place like Florida that's exploding with COVID cases. Hey, let's jump right in the middle of it. That makes zero sense whatsoever. The only two factors are the NBA needs money today, and for next year they got to jack up the money there. And the guy like LeBron James wants to win another title, whether it's tainted or not. It makes no sense whatsoever.
It's risk reward, isn't it? I mean, it's a risk reward thing for everybody, whether you're a player, your management, you're the sport as a whole. I mean, it's a risk reward. Your son's playing baseball right now, right? I mean, is it worth it for him to play? I mean, my son had a basketball tournament last weekend and went to the outskirts of Idaho where, it's the Wild West and they don't care. But you know what?
That's exactly what you have to do nowadays.
Yeah, and honestly, for kids that there's a lot of kids across the country that are doing that right now. I know baseball, especially youth baseball in the Seattle area, they're having people can't schedule fields, but they're out there practicing, and there's tournaments in the works and things like that. And I get that. I mean, okay, the risk for young people is small. It's low. Now spreading it to others is big, but the reward is, hey, you're a kid and playing little league or youth baseball like for 1 or 2 years. Like you have so you have to kind of weigh all those things in together. That's kind of what those guys are doing in baseball. They're risking or rewarding. Well, if you're a guy that's a 4A player and you have a chance to make, a prorated, salary this season and not live with your grandparents in the off season, you might be all in.
No doubt. Well, here's the thing. I think in all these sports, it's going to be it's never been more. It's always kind of been a battle of attrition, especially in the NFL where there's a bunch of injuries. What it's going to be is you better hope, especially in the NBA because it's so short, that you don't have a COVID outbreak because then you're done. In baseball, think about this. If you have a 7-game losing streak, that's the equivalent of 19. Your season is over. They're going to have the trade deadline like 38 days in. After about 12 games, and by the way, the longest odds to make the World Series, I'm glad I remembered this. The Giants and the Mariners meeting in the Not So Fall Classic is a 5,000 to 1. It's the longest odds, so it's you and I.
Hey, let's put $2 down. Let's do it.
But what if the Astros have this massive outbreak, and then the A's have a massive outbreak, and maybe the Rangers have a massive outbreak, and then the Angels have a massive outbreak? Then you have a chance. But that's what it could come down to is we're sitting here saying, geez, my team's not very good. And all of a sudden 2 teams in front of you just have this outbreak, and they're not going to stop the season. So then what?
Well, John Lund joining me here, KBO Weekly Visit, brought to you by Cascade Ice, caffeinated ice water. Let me go through all the leagues in a second, because I know you brought up something earlier in a text to me. I think it's interesting, like the odds of, like speaking of odds, like the odds these teams finish. But with all those sports, and I've had that conversation with both NBA and NHL guys, like you're the sports that have easily, playing 2/3 of your season, could have just said, you know what, it's over. We'll see you in the fall. Let's regroup.
I already got my money.
Yeah, let's do a regular draft, free agency, all those things. But the problem that everyone said was, I mean, you didn't fulfill your local TV contracts. You didn't fulfill your national TV contracts. Nobody wants to give money back or make good spots next year. And then there's still basketball-related income, hockey-related income, the escrow involved there. And, I mean, at the end of the day, no player wants to see a salary cap go down. They don't want to be in the same situation you and I are and see furloughs and, and salary reductions. That's the last thing those guys want to do.
Yeah, that's why they're playing. Because the reality is, let's just use the NBA because it's easiest. The Lakers have a chance, the Clippers have a chance, the Bucks have a chance, maybe the Celtics or Raptors. So there's 4 or 5 teams right there that have a chance to win a championship. The other 17 teams that are going down there are doing it purely for financial reasons. So if you're Trevor Ariza or some of these other guys that have opted out and you have enough money, why am I going down there? I have no chance to win a championship. And if other players go down there and they want to risk their health, they're the ones who will boost the salary caps and so forth for the coming year. So I'm good.
Yeah.
Like if I'm a player on the Suns or even any other team that I did not mention, there's probably 4 teams that can realistically win a championship. Why would you go?
Well, I think our old team at Utah is the other one that should be good because they Two of their starters already had the COVID, so they're fine. They should be okay because
Don't
Rudy
they hate each other or something?
No, that was, you know what the story was? That he didn't give it to him. That wasn't it.
Oh, really?
No, Rudy got it from you know, I won't quote the source, but Rudy apparently got it from family members who came over from Europe, and Donovan got it from going to some nightclub or someplace in New York City. Totally separate.
Okay.
Yeah. The amazing thing is on a plane.
That's fascinating how they track that. Like they could track it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Amazing.
it's pretty easy to track in Texas and Florida right now. If you go to a nightclub with 150 people jam-packed into a room that's 10 by 10, you might, and someone has it, you might actually contract it. It's weird. I don't know a lot about it, but it kind of feels like that's, you know, maybe that seems to be a bad idea, I think. Outdoor patio seating, that seems to be fine.
Idea.
Yeah, I mean, outdoor okay, golf okay. But now I'm not an expert. I know you are.
You're golfing a lot, by the way. I've seen a lot of golf from
one or
you.
two times, fella. One or two times.
Are you the president?
Yes. I don't know my own course though. Still got to pay. Still got to pay for a greens fee.
What's that about, by the way? Man, you give enough promotion to all those golf courses. They're not just letting you on. What's wrong with those people?
Well,
I'm shouting about right now.
Yeah, well,
you're not.
I'm giving you a wink right now, so you know how it works. Right. No, we don't pay for it. I didn't know where the hell I was.
Where were you? What were we talking about?
Oh, I was going to ask you. You're an expert in South Korean baseball, right? They've been okay, haven't they?
You know what? Here's how pathetic it's gotten. We have a pool at KBO, and I have the something or other twins, and they got off to this great start, and now they're tanking. So we do it every month. And we just keep the pool going because everybody's a degenerate at our work, and we need to bet on something, and then there's no sports. So we took the KBO, and every month we get assigned a team. And my team got off to this great start. Now they're in the tank, and now I'm going to owe money. But I don't know anything about the KBO. But the only way to do it is through betting.
But that's what all sports are good. But they're a good example because I don't think, and someone will probably text in and say, Furness, you're wrong, which happens often. But I don't think they've had an outbreak. I think they've been okay. They've been going for a while now.
No, they've been good.
Yeah,
they've been good.
Baseball lends itself to be pretty easy in that regard. I mean, I think you should be fine in baseball. It's the other sports that'll be interesting. But I'm with you. The NBA, NHL, those ones. So if you're an odds maker, John Lund odds maker, the John Lund book. What are the odds these sports all finish a season this year?
Well, I think the NBA is number one because they're going to put themselves in a bubble, and it's just generally the playoffs. It's going to be the shortest. They're going to put themselves in a bubble. I think they're going to be okay. I put that one at 90-10 that they finish. Now that may be a little high, but I'm going to go 90-10 because they're just like, you know what, we're just going to finish. Even if LeBron gets COVID, I think they're just going to play through. Mm-hmm. The NHL is a little bit more physical, but still same kind of a situation. They're going to be bubbled, and they're going to, I think they're going to be good. I think I'd put that one maybe a little bit lower at like 80-20, but maybe 85-15. Now it starts to get dicey. To me, baseball's got a long way to go. There's going to be outbreaks and the whole thing. I put baseball finishing at 50-50 because think about this. They had so many problems with the negotiations in large part because the owners know that the postseason is no sure thing, and that's when they make the money. They don't pay players, and they get a bunch of money from the networks. So the reason why they were fighting so much is because they wanted postseason. Well, there's no surety that they get into the postseason. So I'm going to go 50-50 on baseball. The NFL, I honestly, and I'm not trying to be a downer here. Everybody thinks once we get started, it's like I used to have an old like 74 Bug. That was my first car. It would start, but it wouldn't finish. We were always pushing that thing down a hill going, jump in. And then we, boom, 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 it would get going. It would start. It wouldn't finish. The NFL, I don't see it. I'm sorry because I know there's tons of Seahawks fans and I want to play, and the Niners are really good too. Mm-hmm. And I want to see that battle. But how is it that they start and then they're hitting each other? You can't stay away from each other. This isn't a flag or two-hand touch. I think seriously, I think the NFL is like a 40, 60, 30, 70. I don't see how they can start it. They're going to have an outbreak right at the beginning. You got to have a taxi squad of how many guys? You're going to be missing guys left and right. I don't see it. How close they are in proximity, not only on the field, locker, all that stuff. I don't see it. And I don't want to be a downer, but what do you think?
I think the harsh reality is that, every positive test that's a name person or, like whether it's a no-name PGA player, although Nick Watney was a pretty, decent sized name, and right. Koepka's brothers or Koepka's caddy, but when that happens, it gets enormous headlines, right? Like in big headlines. And so I think then the obvious panic sets in. It's like, okay, it's the doomsdayers. And I get all of that. I think with the NFL, or just overall. We're almost at a point now, and I think we're seeing this probably in your state too. Like I think we're seeing it in our state when the governor last week said, hey, masks are mandatory in indoor spaces and then outdoors if you can't socially distance, right? So basically, depending on where you're at. I mean, indoors, basically you have to wear a mask, which most people were doing anyway out of respect. At least they should have been for the people working there, but whether grocery store, whatever it might be. It feels as, because I don't think any governor wants to shut stuff down. They'll shut down bars. That's one thing. Like you can shut down the nightclub. That's, nobody cares about that. Like, but like
By the way,
shutting
I'm very
down.
against that.
Yeah, I know.
Up, but couldn't you do anything else?
Yeah.
Although my bar at home has gotten really stacked over this whole thing. So
but
I don't really need to go to a bar, to be honest.
No,
it's not like I hit on women or they hit on me back. So
no, you're in pretty good shape. You're not out there busting a move and stuff. So.
Right,
but
we're too old for that.
But nobody wants to shut it down, and so they came up with the idea. Okay, the mask, like, right? Because we're not, and I think you guys did the same thing in California. Because we're not going. They don't want to go. Yeah. All these people come back to work. Like you bring people back to work, and all of a sudden, okay, we're back to work. Now we're going to go and reverse it again. No, we're going to do whatever we can to keep it going. And so, okay, here's what we're doing: put a mask on. The NFL is an interesting one because I think just the money involved compared to even other leagues. Whatever it takes, do we have to live with this disease? I mean, I don't know. I feel exactly what you're saying, and I would lean in that direction, but something tells me I don't know how the NFL waves its magic wand, hides test results, whatever they might do. Who knows?
Well,
I mean, they're
right.
sketchy with that
stuff. They just bulldoze through this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, draft, we're doing it. We're doing everything. They haven't said, we're going to cut this down or cut that down. Maybe there's only 2 preseason games. I wouldn't have any preseason games. I mean, you practiced amongst yourselves. In college, they just go right to it. Now they play some bad teams at the beginning. I get it. But, again, why would you expose yourself for something that is not worth anything? Okay, you want to play a preseason game, but the reality is the fans don't really care. The players don't really care. So don't expose yourself for those 4 preseason games. Take those completely off the schedule. And when the regular season hits, that's really what matters. And look, I'm not trying to be a downer. I hope it goes through the season. For you and I, it's big in both of our cities where we live in our communities. Football is everything. It's number 1 down here. It's not even close. I want to get through, but I'm trying to envision, and I've heard Sean McVay talk about it. I've heard John Harbaugh talk about it, where they're saying these rules, which they have to have, how difficult it's going to be to enforce those things. And then you get on the field and you start hitting, you start sweating, you start doing all those things. And again, I think we're getting desensitized. Okay, this guy, when it first happens, like, whoa, this guy has COVID-19. This person has COVID-19. Are they going to die? Yeah. We're beyond that. I'm not saying it's because of the panic level. I just think that it's much like when you were in class when you're younger. Somebody gets, the flu or a cold, it's all the way through. Yeah. So once your team does that, you can isolate all you want. But just for the sake of conversation, what if it's a bunch of quarterbacks? All of a sudden we're down to now it's like a strike year where the quarterback is, I don't know who your 3rd or 4th guy is, but the 3rd or 4th guy is all of a sudden your quarterback. And that's the product you're putting on the field. At some point, is the NFL going to say, look, probably, I mean, we'll just throw anybody out there. It doesn't matter. We got to keep the cash registers going. Or at some point, if you're missing half the quarterbacks in the league, you're going, we can't do this.
Well, it's the humanity of, just watching what people are going through, around the world. I'm a big believer. I think we talked about this last week. Sports still matter to me in the sense that, the Blazers laid off a bunch of people at one center court last week, and so there's so many people that are affected by it that have nothing to do with the on-field product that, I applaud the organizations that haven't laid people off, that haven't done that are trying to make it through, that, that are doing that, whether it's baseball, football, what have you. But boy, if the NFL, that's such a huge cash cow, and the tentacles reach so far, whether it's people working on the broadcast, the networks, advertising, and on and on and on. So it feels like every day things change. It feels like every day there's more negative news than positive news. But, that's why you've got that big bar stack. We didn't get to Cam Newton. We're going to run out of time. We didn't get to We'll get to the humanity of Cam Newton next week. He's only making $7 million this year. So. Rich, and that's all from your guy, buddy. It's all from your guy.
Don't you dare.
It's all from your guy, Sherman.
Now.
It's all from your guy, Sherman.
Guys, real quick. I don't want to be late. I don't want to make anybody mad, but really, really quick. Look, Richard Sherman was coming off an injury. He signed a team-friendly deal, put a bunch of incentives in it. That's what happens when you have a major injury. He had an Achilles. Cam Newton hasn't been healthy since 2016. That's the kind of deal you get.
65 touchdowns,
What do you
65
call it?
touchdowns and
Disgusting?
44 interceptions the last 4
Right.
years. That doesn't get you much more than that.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's your guy,
Maybe
Richard.
they'll
Maybe
come
get into that next week and talk about the NFL. The NFL schedule is interesting too. Well, all of a sudden, is New England a different team now? I don't know. We'll talk about that next week. So,
right.
hopefully you get your
probably
friends.
won't. We'll get to
Hey,
nothing.
can you get your friends the Oakland A's on the radio? By the way, I saw they can't get a radio contract. When are they moving to
It's
Portland?
bad.
When are they moving to Portland?
They're streaming and they're saying that's what they want to do. Hey, this is the way. This is the wave of the future. It's like, okay.
Move to Portland. That's what they got to do. All right.
Wow.
Have a great week, buddy. I'll see you.
Good to see you, man.